And at 10, Ben Reilly. Ben Reilly is a clone of Peter Parker, the famed Spider-Man, created by the villainous Jackal. Ben assumed the identity of Scarlet Spider after separating himself from Peter's world for 5 years, and upon returning to New York to aid Peter's sick Aunt May, he reunited with Peter and became his ally. Later on though, while Peter was away, Ben encountered a man named Gus, who mistook him for Peter because, you know, they're clones, and demanded payment for an unknown debt. Ben denied that he was in fact Peter because he was, but he also wasn't, you know, but Gus continued to harass him. Then, sometime later, Ben, along with someone named Janine, who is now known as Hallows Eve, ended up living in limbo with this Gus man. And then of course, because, you know, how else are you supposed to have a hero turned villain origin story, Gus continued to harass Ben, leading to him being beat up and then being brought to the Goblin Queen. And by that I mean Ben beat up Gus and then brought Gus to the Goblin Queen. After Madeline consumed Gus's soul, Ben declared his intention to consume Peter Parker's soul. Yeah, that's a thing that has happened. But like, also just look at the monster that is now known as King Chasm. It's a freaking powerhouse, okay? That thing is terrifying and I want to be him so badly. Okay, I know that also he's like technically a villain and that's why he'd be at 10 on this list instead of higher, but since Ben was a hero, was a Spider-Man, I think that it's allowed. Plus, it's not like you can do anything about it now. It's already on the list. You can't reverse the edit. I'm sorry, YouTube doesn't have that feature yet.
Number 9, Power Girl. I mean, all of the Super family have recently got somewhat of a makeover with their new looks, Power Girl included. Now they all wear matching jackets. Power Girl likewise has a new look that features a full one-piece bodysuit with a new Super family matching jacket. Fits right in. She also got some new powers as well, being affected like many others by the Lazarus volcanoes that were like spewing all over the planet. There's just Lazarus raining down everywhere. Power Girl was given psionic abilities during the event, which is quite different for her, going from being a physical powerhouse to a psionic rookie, honestly, to start. Personally, I'm more of a fan of Kara's classic look, but I do like the idea of the Super family all having a piece of clothing that they share, and I always love a good team jacket look, so I'm definitely here for the jacket part at least. Still, I feel like you could alternatively do this with, you know, the S logo that they all wear or matching capes. Power Girl not only got a new look and a new power set here, but she also got a new partner in heroism as well, teaming up with Omen.
And at 8, Ben 10. Ah, look at that, 2 Bens on this list. Or dare I say, 11 Bens. Because Ben 10 is a popular American animated TV series that originally started running in 2005. The show features the adventures of a 10-year-old boy named Ben Tennyson, yeah that's actually his name, who discovers an alien device called the Omnitrix. The Omnitrix allows Ben to transform into various alien creatures, originally with 10, hence the name, each with its own unique set of abilities, powers, and weaknesses. And then throughout the series, Ben and his friends, Gwen and then later in a sequel series Kevin, face off against various villains who seek to use the Omnitrix for their own purposes and just normal run-of-the-mill bad guys like a dude who is mutating animals at one point. But along the way, Ben uses these alien powers and learns how to actually work with them to help others, protect the planet, and ultimately become a hero. It also spawned multiple spin-offs, movies, and video games, cementing its place as a beloved franchise. And personally, I love Ben 10, and I have a Ben 10 jacket. I can't wear it on camera because it's green, which sucks because I love the jacket. But I mean, in 2023, he has like the look of his most recent series, which seems to be the 2014 Ben 10 Omniverse, which has a cartoon style I don't really vibe with, but hey, Ben 10 is still iconic. Or if you want to go a different route, you can go with the Ben 10,000 way of thinking, since Ben 10,000 just has 10,000 different aliens in his Omnitrix, but that actually takes place in 2025, which means that he would look relatively the same this year. There you go. I just wanted to talk about Ben 10, okay?
Number 7, Ghostmaker. Ghostmaker is surprisingly one of my new favorite characters to come out of Batman comics, and initially when he first was shown to us I was like, nah, Ghostmaker sounds kinda lame, but now, wow, I really love him. He is the old friend and rival of Bruce Wayne's who trained alongside him back before he really was even Batman. Min-Kwa Khan also wanted to become a vigilante, but whereas Batman often develops connections to those around him and very much has roots in Gotham, Min-Kwa as Ghostmaker travels the world, remaining detached and attempting to clean up city after city as he goes. heroes, which is why he comes to Gotham and also feels, following Joker War, that he could do a better job than Bruce could as the city's protector. Although he starts out as an antagonist, over time he comes to respect Bruce and eventually chooses to fight alongside him instead of against him, despite their different approaches to vigilantism. He first appeared in October of 2020 in Batman issue number 100 from the current volume started in 2016 that of course is still ongoing. Number 6. Wonder Woman / Girl. Wonder Girl. You know? Yara Flor is our future state Wonder Woman. When Diana gets a glimpse into the possible future in Dark Knight's Death Metal issue number 7, it is Yara who she sees carrying on the mantle of Wonder Woman. Yara is not an Amazon from Themyscira. Instead, she is an Amazon of the Amazon rainforests of Brazil, being from a different tribe basically than Diana is, but still an Amazon. In the future state reality, Yara was considered to be a demigod. Yara Flor's Wonder Woman initially appeared in Dark Knight's Death Metal issue number 7 in January of 2021. She was created by Joelle Jones and would later be incorporated into the main continuity of Prime Earth and get a short-lived comic series all her own titled Wonder Girl, which takes place prior to Yara becoming Wonder Woman. Although now what happened in Future State is questionable as some things have already changed, meaning that exact potential future likely won't come to pass. But you know, Yara could still end up as Wonder Woman at some point. I would believe it. Number 5. Dee Dee. Dee Dee was a short-lived hero who appeared as a new Gotham City siren during Future State. With everything up in the air in regards to how the world will evolve and develop and which parts of the potential future that is Future State will get incorporated into the narrative, I don't actually know if we'll ever see Dee Dee again. But she was a pretty cool character and a great addition to the Gotham City Sirens. While not always the most heroic group, here the Femme Fatales were actually doing good in this story. Dee Dee was an android who first appeared in Future State The Next Batman issue number 2 in the Gotham City Sirens story within there. Dee Dee joined up with Catwoman and Poison Ivy in an attempt to take down and expose her creator, Dax Dilton, which could both save the world and help the Resistance who stand against the oppressive magistrate in this world. Dee Dee made her first appearance in January 2021. Number 4. Swamp Thing. While Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, once known as scientist Alec Holland, is the most well-known Swamp Thing, he's not the only one to have taken up the mantle and role of the Avatar of the Green. We actually have a new Swamp Thing in the comics as of Infinite Frontier issue number 0. This is Levi Kamai from India, who developed a connection to the Green and became its new young avatar. He shares similar powers to Swamp Thing Alec Holland before him, but is still getting a handle on these newfound abilities. He was created by Ram V and Mike Perkins. Levi made his first appearance in the comics in March of 2021. Number 3. Flatline. Flatline is a tricky one to nail down when it comes to her alignment. She isn't really a hero, but she isn't really like a straight up baddie either. Sure, she's been the sidekick of the villain Lord Deathman, but she reads to me as kind of ambivalent to the whole idea of, you know, like good versus evil. I don't think she really subscribes to either ideology, but she also does run with a generally good guy most of the times, Damian Wayne, which means that if I had to place her anywhere on the spectrum, I'd be more likely to classify her currently as an anti-hero. Or you know, like an anti-hero sidekick maybe? I don't know. She is known for being Damian Wayne's love interest. Her powers allow her to adopt the skills, or at least a portion of the skills, of anyone who she kills or who is basically near her when they die. She first appeared in Detective Comics in issue 1034 in March 2021. Number 2. Jay Nakamura. While not technically a superhero yet, Jay has been revealed to at least have superpowers, and he's dating a superhero, so it seems likely that Jay may soon become a superhero himself. He made his first appearance in Superman Son of Kal-El issue number 2. Jay is an online media reporter who runs a journalistic website called The Truth, and already uses a codename as part of that group and site. His codename is Gossamer, which is fitting since his powers actually revolve around intangibility and invisibility. He can phase through things and can make himself appear at least partially invisible. Jay first appeared in DC in August of 2021. Number 1. Dreamer. The first transgender superhero on television who recently made her way to the pages of DC Comics. Naya Nal is a superhero character who first appeared in Supergirl Season 4, Episode number 1, American Alien. She is based off of DC's Dream Girl, Nura Nal, and is also depicted as being Nura's ancestor. Naya Nal was created by Robert Rovner and Jessica Keller for the Supergirl live-action CW series. Her powers come from her Naltorian ancestry, being half Naltorian and half human. She can travel through dreams to get to someone, teleporting in essence to a person through their dreams, and can also manipulate one's dreams as well as astral project and project energy too. She is also a seer of sorts. Dreamer made her first appearance in the comics in the DC Pride 2022 special in June of 2022.
Number 10. Batman vs. Bigby. You know Batman, but have you ever read or heard of the Fable series? It's one of my favorite comic series. It basically follows classic fairy tale characters living in modern day New York. The Big Bad Wolf, otherwise known as Bigby Wolf, is the sheriff of their community. In 2021, we got the limited DC Black Label series Batman vs. Bigby, a wolf in Gotham, which is a collaboration between these two comic worlds, with Bigby as a main suspect for murders in Gotham. If you like the Fables world and you like Batman, you'll love this little mashup. Number 9. JSA, The Liberty Files. The Justice Society of America, The Liberty Files, is a DC Elseworlds story from 2000 to 2003, which makes it non-canonical. Any story that lets writers go outside the rules of the DC canon always makes for stories that I personally love. Alright, so what's it about? The series took characters from the JSA, but turned them into covert government operatives in World War II. Specifically, the story centered on 3 heroes: Batman, called Bat, Our Man, called Clock, and Dr. Midnight, called Owl. I know, really creative names. The 3 were known as the Unholy Three, and their mission, at least in the Part 1 story, is to find Jack the Grin, who is the Joker, who has information about the German weapon Übermensch, or Superman. Are you sold yet? Number 8. Earth 15. Earth 15 first appeared in 2007 in Countdown number 30. This Earth was basically a perfected Earth with heroes who evolved to become nearly perfect beings, with most of the proteges like Jason Todd, Donna Troy, Zod, and Kyle Rayner taking over the original heroes' roles. That is, until the events of Flashpoint, when it was destroyed by the crazed Superboy Prime. That little rascal. The still existing dimension became a graveyard universe, eventually being modified by Hal Jordan into an Earth whose heroes had personalities opposite to the Prime Earth versions. It's an interesting place for sure, and some interesting things have happened in it. Check it out. Number 7. Bolt. Going along with the hype of the live-action Black Adam movie, DC decided that they would also put out a Black Adam solo series for the first time. And in the first issue, it puts Black Adam on the ropes of mortality. In response to this, Black Adam finds his descendant, Malik Adam White, a medical student living in the Bronx. Basically, Black Adam just tells this guy he is going to succeed Black Adam and inherit his power, and then he forces him to do so by almost taking his life, forcing the guy to save himself by taking Black Adam's ring and saying Shazam. While Black Adam calls Malik White Adam, Malik gives a good little lecture about the inherent racism there, so he prefers to go by Thunderbolt or just straight up Bolt. Now from what I've read, I really like this character. He's smart and spunky, and he is supposed to represent a sort of form of redemption for the character of Black Adam because, as they say in the comic, there is no true redemption for Black Adam, not after all he's done. Number 6. Duo. Recently, DC Comics has announced that they are relaunching Milestone, and that's exciting because we haven't seen much of their characters like Icon, Static, and Rocket in a hot minute, and I love all of them. What's interesting is that instead, we got a wholly new character, or characters, in the form of Duo. This new addition to Earth M follows Dr. David Kim and Dr. Kelly Vu, who get fused together in a crazy accident, which is slightly reminiscent of the DC character Firestorm, but this is different. For one, they look way cooler in my opinion. But the comic follows the pair learning more about each other and their newfound powers based on nanotech that include the ability to heal almost instantly, making them essentially immortal, the ability to interface with technology, metamorphosis, density control, and more as time goes on and they find further control. Duo is potentially one of the most powerful beings from Milestone if things keep going the way they're going, and I highly recommend checking out their story. Number 5. Bat Prince. This alternate version of Batman belongs to probably one of my favorite alternate reality stories to come out of DC Comics, Dark Knights of Steel. This story takes place in a world of medieval fantasy where the Wayne family ruled their kingdom until the mother and father of Superman came to Earth. The L family house became rulers of the land after a horrible attack on the Wayne family. Now, as the surviving son of the Waynes, Bruce serves as both a knight and son to the L family with his network of Robins and his brilliant mind. But as the world is at each other's throats, this Bat Prince learns about the actions that led to his birth and the powers he now possesses as a half-Kryptonian Dark Knight. Dark Knights of Steel that came out last year in 2022 just has so many interesting and fresh takes on classic DC characters. It's fresh and fun, and I got a variant cover of the first issue and it looks sweet, and maybe one day I'll bring it in to show you guys. Maybe, but definitely read Dark Knights of Steel. Number 4. Tim Fox. Timothy Jace Fox is the oldest son of Wayne Enterprises CEO Lucius Fox and the brother of Lucas Fox, Tamara Fox, and Tiffany Fox. He has a long history of estrangement from his father and rebels against the affluent surroundings he grew up in. While he was a bit of a rebel and a playboy for a long while, Tim found himself being brought back to reality after he caused the passing of a man while driving distracted. Following the shame of this and his enrollment at Sanford Military Academy, he went off into the world refining his skills with different mentors, the most well known of whom being Katana and his best friend Vol. Tim became a revolutionary and a mercenary, taking on the new name of Jace. Eventually he returned to Gotham, and even later he eventually discovers the Hibernaculum, which I hope I'm pronouncing right. It's a giant armory that also contained a prototype bat armor. He takes the Hibernaculum as his base of operations, and in a last-ditch effort to prevent a massacre, he dons the bat armor. Now, after a failed initial debut as Batman, he goes back to the drawing board and creates himself a new suit and becomes the official new Batman. Official new Batman, but there's also the regular Batman still. I don't know. He's been a little anti-joining up with pretty much anyone, not a member of the Bat family, and refusing Jonathan Kent's offer to join the new Justice League, and I'm kind of curious what will become of his character as time goes on, because nothing's really happening. Number 3. Dreamer. Unlike other characters on today's list, the precognitive hero Dreamer debuted in Supergirl as part of the CW's Arrowverse, making her comic debut in DC Pride 2022 #1 in August of 2022. The character, whose real name is Nia Nal, has a heritage that is half human and half Naltorian, an alien species. Some Naltorian women have access to powers that come from the dream realm, and the subsequent dream energy, which gives them precognition, astral projection, energy projection, and the ability to travel through other people or animals' dreams, which is an incredibly interesting idea for a superpower. The Naltorian women who can do this are given the title of Dreamer. Now for Nia Nal, she had visions of the passing of the Justice League at the hands of Henry Bendix, the moment that would spark the very recent Dark Crisis event. It's revealed that she is also related to Nura Nal, a descendant of Nia's who is part of the Legion of Superheroes in the 31st century. Whether that will factor into her story or if we will see any time traveling related adventures between the two remains to be seen as Nia makes her mark in the DC universe. Number 2. Circuit Breaker. Jules Jourdain is so freaking new that they haven't even debuted yet. Jules Jourdain, aka Circuit Breaker, is a new transgender superhero getting their own series that will officially debut this Valentine's Day. And yes, that's coming up, so if you forgot, this is your friendly reminder. Or if you're single, sad, and lonely, know that you ain't alone. I am with you. Writer and artist AJ Kaplan teased the hero in a tweet in January of 2023, mentioning the character's use of the quote, still force. Apparently, this still force is like the opposite to the speed force that we all know for being utilized by the Flash and other speedsters. What this means for the trans non-binary hero is yet to be revealed, obviously. The speed force has been used to go so fast that time stands still, so what the still force does exactly is leaving me extremely curious, to be honest. But I'm excited to see what Circuit Breaker does with it when they debut in DC's Lazarus Planet Dark Fate #1 out on Valentine's Day. And in at number 1, Dr. Multiverse. Dr. Multiverse is alone in the multiverse, meaning there is only one of her. Originating from Earth 8, Maya was bathed in cosmic energies and was granted the powers of the multiverse. This basically means she is able to see variants and alternate versions of people living in different realities. She can see people and objects passing between dimensions, and she has the ability to locate and track anything she has come into contact with throughout the multiverse. She also has access to vast energy manipulation abilities which let her fire blasts and create shields, but she can totally open up portals to other universes and send people back to their own universe. This former member of the Retaliators became part of the Justice League Incarnate, using her multiversal powers to help this multiversal team of heroes. She's like a DC version of Marvel's Captain Universe, Starbrand, and America Chavez. I think she's alright, so you should definitely think she's alright too, and check her out.
Number 10. Green Lantern Malene. Sojourner Joe Malene is the Green Lantern who first appeared in DC's Young Animals imprint comic, Far Sector. She was created by the amazing science fiction and fantasy writer N.K. Jemisin and mind-blowing artist Jamal Campbell. Jo is a Green Lantern who is unique in the sense that she wasn't traditionally chosen to be a lantern, and the ring she is given is not inherently as powerful as your typical Green Lantern ring, but in some ways it can actually be seen as more powerful. Most Green Lantern rings require a battery to charge them, but Jo's is actually self-charging. Now, this is useful when she ends up designated to an area so far out in space she doesn't really need to be near any batteries. However, it should be noted that because it is self-charging, Jo has to be more conscientious when it comes to how she uses her power, as it is possible for her to completely deplete her power stores and be left without power during a time of crisis when she is forced to wait for her ring to recharge itself. Malene has quickly become one of my favorite lanterns. She made her first appearance in November of 2019. Number 9. Batman. This version of Batman is Jace Fox, initially known as Timothy Fox or Tim Fox, the son of longtime Batman ally Lucius Fox. However, Timothy prefers to be called Jace now. While Timothy Fox has actually been around in the comics since the New Earth continuity, and I believe came out in the late 70s, this version of the character as a future Batman who prefers to be called Jace is actually pretty new to us. He first appeared as Batman's replacement during our glimpse into Future State, appearing in DC Nation Presents DC Future State issue number 1 for the first time, at least within the Future State continuity. But Jace has also appeared in the main Prime Earth continuity as well, first appearing there in Batman issue 101, the volume that started back in 2016 and is still successfully ongoing since. Jace, like Bruce Wayne's Batman, is just a highly skilled and trained human who takes up the mantle of Batman in Future State after Batman goes missing and is basically presumed to possibly be dead. Jace Fox was created initially back in the 70s by Len Wein and Irv Novick, but was revived recently in Future State: The Next Batman by writer John Ridley. He first reappeared in the Future State continuity in January of 2020. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it where we tell you about some of the best, newest heroes coming your way, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Bolt. Bolt has an untimely ending in Future State where she is a forced recruit of Amanda Waller's Suicide Squad. But fortunately, in the Prime Earth continuity, events have gone a bit differently for her. She made a deal with Amanda Waller after losing her legs to join the Suicide Squad later on in her life in exchange for those super cool prosthetics. But when it came time for Alinta, aka Bolt, to uphold her end of the bargain, she refused. She had joined the Teen Titans Academy and wanted to remain as a hero as opposed to joining Amanda Waller's Task Force X. In the main continuity, Bolt avoids capture and gets to remain a Titan in training. This is also where she gets her codename of Bolt from the Titans Academy. Bolt is an interesting character as, while tapped into the Speed Force as a speedster, she has no other connection or affiliation to the Speed Force family. That is, you know, the Allen or West family. Alinta was created by Robbie Thompson and Javier Fernandez and first appeared in January 2020 in DC Nation Presents DC Future State issue number 1. In that continuity, later appearing in the Prime Earth continuity in Infinite Frontier issue number 0.
Number 7. Jo Malene's Green Lantern. Sojourner Malene was granted a Green Lantern ring after she was unceremoniously fired from the New York City police force. She became the Green Lantern of an unnumbered sector, with her first main job being in the City Enduring, an alien planet city inhabited by 3 previously warring races. She's tasked with solving the city's first murder in 500 years. It's pretty serious. Jo's ring recharges over time instead of requiring a battery, which, as a trade-off, makes it a bit weaker. It's still a Green Lantern ring though, so she ain't someone to mess with. This non-reliance also proves really useful when the central power battery explodes at a Green Lantern meeting Jo was running late to, taking out a bunch of lanterns and depowering a whole heck of a lot more of them. She took charge here like a true hero should. She has been teased to be taking over the role of Green Lantern. Obviously. Number 6. Jackson Hyde's Aquaman. Jackson Hyde is actually the son of one of Aquaman's main villains, Black Manta, but luckily he fights for justice, hence being part of this video. As Aqualad, with his hydrokinesis and Atlantean powers, he has been a part of the Teen Titans, Young Justice, and has fought alongside Aquaman against his own father, and has even temporarily stepped into the mantle of Aquaman in one of his major story arcs. He has proven himself capable, if not a little undisciplined, and he, alongside Jo Malene, Jace Fox, Yara Flor, and John Kent, was part of the alternate Justice League in Future State, so we know he has the means to take over the role. Just like the last two, he is poised to take over the position of Aquaman. allegedly, in the upcoming Justice League. Number 5. Yara Flor's Wonder Woman. Ayla was an Amazonian who left Themyscira and settled in Brazil, where she fell in love with a Brazilian river deity. You know, like you do. The child these two would create became the Amazonian Brazilian demigod Yara Flor. Living in an Amazonian village, they were attacked by agents of the Greek gods, and Ayla lost her life. But Yara was taken to Idaho by a woman named Renata, who became her adopted mother. After her return to Brazil, she gets magical golden boleadoras, meets a human she hits it off with, is stabbed with an arrow by Eros, who she falls in love with, and is taken to Mount Olympus, where she is trained, given gifts, and gets a Pegasus named Jerry. Nice. She's offered the role of becoming Hera's champion, but after learning of her true origins, she refuses, and after a lot of scuffling, she brings some Amazons to defeat those responsible for the de-lifing of her own mother. She has become Wonder Girl, and was Wonder Woman in that future state Justice League I keep talking about to defend my reason for putting these characters on this list. It will be cool to see her actually step into the role of Wonder Woman, if that's what happens. Number 4. John Kent. And last, but extremely not the least, apparently, stepping into the role of Superman in the Justice League will be none other than his own son, Jonathan Samuel Kent. Look, it just makes sense. John obviously was a member of the League's reserves before this point, but taking over the role of his father would be a big step up if it is ultimately what comes to pass. The son of Clark and Lois Lane, Jonathan began fighting crime at the age of 10. John possesses all the same powers as his father, plus a solar radiation explosion thing that isn't really under his control. According to Batman, he actually has the potential to surpass his father's power levels thanks to his half-human physiology, which kind of makes no sense to me, but whatever. Jonathan actually became Superman when his father left Earth to go to War World, so he has had a bit of experience, which will hopefully help him if he does become the new Superman of the Justice League next month. And that covers every one of the characters teased to take over the respective roles in the League. A few of these characters are part of the future Justice League, so it remains to be seen what role exactly these few will play, and I may have doomed myself to be roasted in the comments, so there's that. Number 3. Hippolyta, or Hippolyta, or however you want to say it. Queen of Themyscira, she takes over the role of Wonder Woman in the Justice League in the Infinite Frontiers storyline. Now, Diana isn't perished. Well, she is now, but not when her mother took over in the Justice League. Diana had ascended after defeating the Darkest Night, and with Hippolyta having dubbed Nubia as the newest ruler of Themyscira, she was pretty free to take on the role in the Justice League. It's interesting to see her interact with Aquaman, and the small amount of time her and the number 1 spot got to work together was also rather interesting. As an Amazonian, she possesses pretty much all the same powers as her daughter, just better because, you know, she's been around longer. Unfortunately, this whole thing didn't last very long with the whole death of the Justice League thing. Number 2. Naomi McDuffie. Joining the team just after our number 1 spot in Justice League Volume 4 number 63, Naomi McDuffie is a teenage energy-based hero who was actually sent to the Prime Earth from an alternate reality to be spared from this really crazy villain, Zumbado, who rules over her native Earth. While her powers are unstable and she hasn't quite learned a complete control over them yet, Powerhouse's powers are confirmed to be Omega level in nature, so that's enough to put her pretty high on this list. She basically transforms into a golden armored super-powered form, which gives her a kind of energy projection that she uses to enhance her punches, making them very super indeed, and she also uses them to fire energy blasts. Interestingly, Naomi can also augment magical powers, kind of opposite to how Superman is weakened by them. In her super form, she can fly and obviously has super strength and durability. Number 1. Black Adam? What? That's right. Joining the Justice League in Volume 4 number 60 of the team's self-titled comic, thanks to an invite from Superman, it's my second favorite Adam other than myself. Teth Adam was an unwilling laborer back in ancient Egypt who received power from the wizard Shazam, just like that other guy in red with a lightning bolt. What was his name again? I forget. Black Adam actually loses his life, and after his resurrection was no longer powered by the wizard. Instead, he gained his power from 6 Egyptian deities: Shu, Horus, Amun, Sehuti, Aten, and Mehen. Funny how they happen to still spell it Shazam though, huh? And he still shouts Shazam to activate his powers too, naturally. He also makes for quite a great leader, being the ruler of the African nation of Kondak. However, he hasn't traditionally been a great team player, and well, the whole supervillain anti-hero thing doesn't really help his case either. I'm just interested to see where this goes, to be perfectly honest. Number 10. Earth 3. The post-Flashpoint Earth 3 is similar to its pre-Flashpoint Earth, but way better. This Earth is the birthplace of evil. The mentality here isn't good versus evil, it's more like just evil. Strength is respected more than anything else, with the weak basically being annihilated. Instead of the Justice League, Earth 3 is home to the Crime Syndicate of America, whose members include Ultraman, Superwoman, Owlman, Power Ring, Johnny Quick, Sea King, The Outsider, Grid, and John Johns. Earth 3 was reintroduced in 2013 and has played a part in Darkseid War in 2015, Dark Knight's Death Metal in 2020, and in 2021 it was reborn again in the Infinite Frontier story. Like I said, when we started, the DC universe is complicated, but what's remained the same since 2013 is that some of the coolest stories come out of Earth 3. Number 9, Earth 1. Earth 1 and the number 10 pick are probably the oldest of the Earths and universes on this list. Earth 1 first appeared in 2008 in its New 52 form, but it introduced a whole spectrum of readers into the DC universe, and sales for its comics were through the roof. So I believe it deserves a spot on the list. Here, superheroes are all younger, and they all just started their superhero careers. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the Teen Titans, and Green Lantern all have graphic novels that take place on this Earth, and they are all just fresher takes on the almost overdone superhero origin stories. With the characters all being younger, it was also very easy for younger readers to relate to, and gave the characters conflicts that they wouldn't have faced as their prime Earth counterparts. Number 8. Injustice Universe. The Injustice Universe of Earth 22 is the universe in which the events of the Injustice video game and its related comics take place, and it first popped up in 2013. So here in the Injustice world, Superman went a little bonkers. After the Joker tricked Supes into killing both Lois Lane and her unborn child, plus unintentionally blowing up Metropolis, Superman murdered the Joker and eventually became a tyrannical ruler of Earth. The Batman of Injustice creates an insurgency, eventually enlisting the aid of another Earth, Earth 1 of this reality. With the alternate Earth's help, he overthrew Superman's regime and rebuilt the world. And that's all just part of the first game.
Number 7, Photon. While definitely an homage to her classic look, Monica Rambeau has also received her own suit makeover recently. Personally, I liked her look with the jacket before this, but this one does seem a bit more practical. I mean, I've worn full bodysuits with jackets over top, and let me tell you, it tends to get really hot really fast. One of my favorite things about her newest look, as seen in her new 2023 series, is actually her hair. I love how it is adorned. It makes it look like Monica has like little stars in her hair. It's so pretty, it's so cool. As happy as I am to see this new marvelous look, I'm also even more happy to see Monica as the star of her own series. She is a character who I've been saying for a while I would love to see in her own solo book. Of course, I've been saying that, and then of course the same year that I decided to take a year off from collecting printed Marvel and DC superhero comics, she gets her own series. That timing. Still, I'm very happy to see it, and I hope that you are all collecting it out there.
And it's 6, Green Arrow. Okay, now this is a bit of a weird one, I will admit, but within the context of the Arrowverse, the Green Arrow does have a new look in 2023, okay? The new look is alive. Kind of, technically speaking. Okay, during the 9th episode of The Flash Season 9, Stephen Amell made a return as Oliver Queen. However, this time around, he was still the Spectre. So the Green Arrow is a totally different hero, but also, he's technically a god as well, but like with a couple limitations, so like diet god, if you will. Oliver isn't really dead, they kind of retcon that. He's rather just existing outside of time and space, but he's only capable of interacting with the physical world when the multiverse is in danger, which is kind of interesting as well, since Legends of Tomorrow had an episode where the Legends stumbled upon a location that was being used to film Supernatural, and in the Supernatural episode, The French Mistake, we see Sam and Dean being sent to a reality where Supernatural is a show. So that could have been the same Earth, okay? Since the multiverse is a thing for them too. Okay, do you see where I'm going with this? That would subsequently mean that Chuck wiping out all the Earths in Supernatural was their interpretation of Crisis, and that Oliver rebooting the multiverse gave them their multiverse back as well, as we see in the spin-off series The Winchesters, okay? Where the big bad of the first season was threatening the multiverse. So, where the hell was Oliver during that, when those Earths were in danger, okay? Come on. Or were the Akrita from that show just Ramsey's infected cells? Something to chew on. But yeah, I wanted to talk about it. I haven't been here in a while, okay? I wanted to talk about Arrow and the Flash. I'm sorry. There's a lot of green that I can't talk about because of, well...
Number 5. Storm. Oh my goodness, I am super here for Storm's new look. Although, honestly, when am I not here for a Storm look? I'm actually trying to think of a time that I didn't like what Storm was wearing, and I can't. But if you feel like Storm has had some questionable looks, let me know them down in the comments, because maybe I'll find something that I don't like Storm in. I doubt it'll happen, but it could happen. Right now though, I'm definitely a fan of her current 2023 look. It's a look that has been evolving since the dawn of X, and even though it is only one era in a long history of X-Men stories and eras, I will say, even in comparison to the beginning of the days of Krakoa, Storm looks quite different. And I mean that in the best possible way. Storm went from having a sleek, polished, modern design to what I would describe now as a more modern take on her punk era look, and yeah, I super love it. And friends, before I move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, be sure to show us you love us by clicking that subscribe button.
In it for the Flash. There is no doubt that the Flash has gone through many suits over the past few years, especially with the show having so many different versions for the Scarlet Speedster. However, with the show ending, the character is getting a whole new look in the upcoming Flash movie starring Ezra Miller. And while the cheap joke here would be saying that the new look is actually just the psycho behind the mask, the suits we're seeing in the trailers are pretty different to the suits that we've seen in the show that's been on for nearly a decade. The jokes made in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover were about the actual possible uses for the different suits, with Grant's version making the comment that Ezra's was more protective and that his seemed like safer, whereas Ezra said that Grant's was more breathable and comfortable, which are qualities that seem to be embraced and enhanced in the movie versions, with the two Ezras having qualities related to like the lightning color of their speedster. The blue lightning being more in line with the original DCEU suit, since that version had blue lightning, but the orange or yellow lightning version being closer to Grant Gustin's version, which makes me think that they might have actually wanted Grant in that role, especially given why Ezra Miller was in the news, but I feel like Grant was probably like, yeah, no.
Number 3. Daredevil. Daredevil is currently in the midst of his Red Fist saga, and to match, he has a completely new look. What is new about it? Well, it comes with a pretty cool hood and some ninja-esque trappings, such as his face mask, which also helps him to match with the other Daredevil currently in town, Elektra. Elektra has been Daredevil as well for a while, ever since Matt had to go to prison to do some time. Which also means we have another new Daredevil look, because Elektra is Dee Dee as well right now, which is also still relatively new to comic readers. And not only that, but Elektra is also now Matt's wife. But despite that bit of what you'd think would be weird and unconventional marital bliss, Matt has currently been having a rough go, as he also is forced to fight against other heroes that he normally would simply call his colleagues and his friends, such as Spider-Man, who he actually kinda backstabbed in issue number 10 of Daredevil recently when Peter offered him an olive branch. Ouch. Oh, and Matt also is sporting a pretty wild beard right now, and I gotta say, it's a bit crazy, but I'm here for it. I love how it's just like his mask and then beard.
But ultimately, in at number 2, stature. Going from superhero daughter to superhero is one thing, and that's the story that was started in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. However, that's not the only change that Cassie Lang went through in 2023. Cassie was always fascinated by the quantum realm and eventually invented the quantum satellite, which led to her and her family being shrunken down into the realm and being trapped in Axia. Despite her father's reluctance, Cassie was determined to help the freedom fighters and became Stature, using her size-changing abilities to help fight against Kang's empire, but unfortunately, she and Ant-Man were eventually captured by MODOK, which was just, that was a thing that happened in the movie. Oh boy. And were then interrogated by Kang, who threatened to harm Cassie unless Ant-Man actually like retrieved the multiversal engine core, and it's a whole weird thing, okay? But Cassie's bravery and determination helped everyone in the movie, but despite her activism, the character was actually entirely recast post-Endgame by Marvel Studios, which caused actually a bit of turmoil online, since the original actress who played Cassie in Endgame was not informed about the decision. Now don't get me wrong, okay? Love Catherine Newton, but given how the character had already appeared, it would make sense for the original actor to figure that they'd show up as them in the future. So yeah, you should probably inform them, since you've already kind of made that connection with them, but you didn't. So there you go.
Number 1. Superman. In truth, I was trying to keep this list not just super family members for my DC points, but the reality is that they probably have had some of the most dramatic makeovers in 2023 so far in regards to DC Comics. I could talk about some of the Titans redesigns, but even then, those outfits pretty much have all throwback elements. I mean, Donna Troy is almost one for one busting out one of her old costumes, although I do love those modernized takes on some of their older looks. When it comes to John Kent though, who is also Superman currently in the comics, formerly known as Superboy, like Kara's Power Girl, he recently received a different look and some changes to his powers. Although he didn't get a full-on new power set, he did get a more blue Superman-esque look when he gained the ability to supercharge, even overcharge, his solar energy stores, making him even more powerful than he was before. Not that he really needed that upgrade, goodness knows. However, there is a cost to using his newfound power stores. Doing so leaves him completely drained, making him basically human for a short while he charges back up. Also, Connor told me that John Kent was another character who was also recently recast in Superman and Lois, so he also has a completely new look on the CW side, as well as Michael Bishop takes over for Jordan Elsas, who left after season 2. So there you go, everyone's getting recast.
But coming in at number 10 is Red Canary. The Black Canary is one of the coolest female heroes in the DC universe. She may fly under the radar for a few people, but she has made a name for herself as a powerful hero and a fierce fighter. So, when the new legacy character of Red Canary showed up on the scene, she had some big shoes to fill. The thing is, she's so new, appearing in Dark Crisis issue number 3 in October 2022, that we kind of know nothing about her. We know her first name is Sienna, and we know she is a college student. She responded to Nightwing's call after the passing of the Justice League, and she fought in the mission that went out into the multiverse, but we don't even know her powers. We can assume that they're at least similar to Black Canaries, but I don't even want to say that because we just simply do not know. What we can say is that she absolutely has potential if her first appearances saw her jump into a multiversal battle. Only time will tell, but she looks cool as hell though. Number 9. Monkey Prince. First appearing in DC Festival of Heroes, the Asian Superhero Celebration number 1 from July 2021, Monkey Prince is the son of the legendary Monkey King, Sun Wukong from Chinese folklore. Because of this, Monkey Prince, aka Marcus' son, is essentially a demigod, born in the Phantom Zone. But he had no idea of this. He was taken in by criminals Winston and Laura Shugel Shen, and he grew up with them, with the two surprisingly making good parents despite the fact that they were running around working for different criminals in Gotham City. When Marcus was a kid, he was woken up during a thunderstorm in the middle of the night to find his parents being interrogated by Batman. Interrogated with his fists, because that's the Batman way. This gave Marcus a fear of thunderstorms, rain, and water, and Batman, plus a hatred for superheroes. Which is funny because once his powers were awoken by a servant of his Monkey King father, granting him an insanely cool form of immortality and regeneration, the ability to summon clouds that he can fly on, clone creation, shapeshifting, underwater breathing, and the superhero starter pack of physical upgrades, he did indeed become a superhero. He's a really unique character with a ton of storytelling potential, and he's already teamed up with a few characters like Batman, Aquaman, and a few others. Definitely check him out. And at number 8 is Grey Wolf. Okay, so apparently Lex Luthor was running crime-fighting experiments around the world trying to create a group of his own similar to Batman Incorporated, with the ultimate goal of creating Abyss, aka his new evil Batman. He then abandoned all these projects because that's what you do when you're a villain. The projects went wild, doing their own thing, causing problems all over. So, Batman Incorporated's international team, being led by Ghostmaker, are sent to clean up the mess in Batman 2022 Annual Volume 3, number 1 from July. Their first mission is to Kazbek, Chechnya to take on Grey Wolf. Now Grey Wolf was unleashed on the city to help its citizens who had been exposed to a Lazarus resin by Lex Luthor that made them all extremely violent. Once the Ghostmaker realized that Grey Wolf was actually a pretty good guy, they teamed up and were able to cure the residents, and Grey Wolf joined Batman Inc. as a good guy and possibly one of the strongest members outside of Ghostmaker himself. He displayed enough skill to best Dark Ranger, El Gaucho, and Batman of Japan in a 3-on-1 fight, and he beat Wingman 1-on-1. Also, he's like 7 feet tall minimum. So cool. Number 7. Earth 20. Earth 20, which appeared in Final Crisis Superman Beyond number 1 in 2008, is the home of Kent Nelson, otherwise known as Doc Fate. And he is so cool. Basically, he leads a society of superheroes on Earth 20, which is a group that includes Lady Blackhawk, Immortal Man, the Green Lantern, the Mighty Atom, and Batman from time to time. The history of this world isn't exactly very well known, but we do know it has just come out of a war that is somewhat like World War II. There are Zeppelins flying around in some cities, and the cars are all big and beautiful. It's got a very slick 20s style. The heroes of this world would do righteous battle against a society of supervillains from Earth 40 and a huge 5-year war. My goodness. Number 6. Batman White Knight. I cannot recommend this 2017 story enough to you guys. It is an insanely interesting and fantastic Joker story. It takes place in an alternate Gotham City, and the Joker regains his sanity after a brutal and violent forced ingestion of a medicine by Batman. The roles are practically reversed, as the seemingly reformed Joker, real name Jack Napier, becomes the White Knight, hoping to better Gotham City as a politician, while also condemning Batman as an unhinged violent vigilante. Which, I mean, it's kinda hard to argue against that point of view. He sued the GCPD for police brutality, and he worked against the 1%, who used Batman and Gotham's crime for their own financial benefit. Joker actually becomes a good guy. It's kind of insane. But there is more to this story, and I highly suggest you check it out. Number 5. Earth 14. Alright, this is gonna be a pretty quick one. There is not a whole heck of a lot of information out there about Earth 14, which first appeared in Superman Volume 4, number 15 in 2017. I want to talk about it because the Justice League of Assassins is just the coolest looking version of the Justice League I have ever seen, even if it was just for a short period of time. The Assassins are made up of alternate heavy weapon bearing versions of Wonder Woman, Batman, Harley Quinn, Flash, Aquaman, what looks like it could be Green Lantern, and Superman. They only last about 3 pages of the comic they are a part of, but I really hope we see them pop up in other stories because these guys are just so rad. All we saw them do was fight a bunch of gatherers in a post-apocalypse looking Earth. Number 4. Batman 89. Okay, you can fight me in the comments about this one. Batman 89 was published in 2021, but the stories take place in the Tim Burton Batman movies world. Seeing how we haven't actually seen a comic in this world, I'm gonna take this one, okay? Cool. So yes, this is that Batman and Bruce Wayne in this comic. He has the same suit from the movie, the same amazing Batmobile, and it takes place after the events of the movies. But it's more like comic heavy. It's really cool. We see Harvey Dent actually become Two-Face, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is back, and we even get a Robin for this universe. It's so awesome. I don't want to spoil too much, so you can probably guess what I'm gonna say. Go give it a read. Number 3. DC vs. Vampires. The ongoing DC vs. Vampires limited series that started in 2021 is such an amazing story. It just makes sense. Pit the characters of the DC universe against a growing army of vampires, a mystery around who the superhero vampire leader is. It's great! The basic premise, without spoiling much, is that Mary, Queen of Blood, who upholds the peace between vampires and humans, is dead. Whoever killed her also killed the Legion of Doom, and has made a plan for vampires to take over the world. Andrew Bennett, a vampire, went to the Justice League to tell them about the army of vampire supervillains. There's a vampire Gorilla Grodd, like, come on. The story has a large Batman and Bat family presence, as a story about vampires should, and for a story so grim, it actually has some really funny moments. Especially from Damian Wayne, as I'm sure no one is surprised by. Number 2. DC Bombshells. DC Comics Bombshells is an awesome story from 2015 that focuses on a reality where a team of female superheroes fight on the side of the Allies during World War II. It actually first came to be because of a line of statuettes released by DC with superheroines wearing retro 40s inspired costumes. They were so popular that they moved to variant covers, and then they got their own series. Each hero has their own style and story while still all being part of this bigger, wider alternate World War II story. It's truly awesome and mainly follows Batwoman, Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Stargirl, Zatanna, and the Batgirls. Go give it a little gander, would you? Number 1. Dark Knights of Steel. And now for my favorite. Dark Knights of Steel. Swords, sorcery, superheroes. Dark Knights of Steel is a story that actually came out this year, that's 2022 if you're watching this from the future, but is set in an alternate medieval fantasy universe. Batman is an actual knight and half Kryptonian. Like, I'm just in love. Okay, so basically, Jor-El and Lara escape Krypton before it is destroyed and crash land on the medieval Earth, and eventually become the rulers of the land after giving birth to Kal-El. It's wild. there are alternate versions of Green Lantern, Supergirl, Harley Quinn, Robins, Alfred, Constantine, Green Arrow, Joker, Green Lantern, Black Lightning, and more. I love to see comic book publishers do these time-displaced stories. It's great.
Number 10, Liar Liar. Emma Duropoulos. Okay, this chick is badass right off the hop. She first appeared in Wonder Woman 759. She's the long-lost daughter of Maxwell Lord, and growing up, Emma's mother Susan kept the fact that her father was still alive from her. Now, she did find out eventually, but her mother insisted that he died of cancer, never even telling Emma his real name. And on top of that, Emma was growing into her powers, and her mother also ignored those. She didn't believe that she had powers until one day Emma showed her an up-close look at them. She made her mother collide with an oncoming truck, and sadly Emma was the only survivor. Next step was to break her father out of jail and earn his trust by, of course, helping him take down Wonder Woman. Emma used her psychic wave manipulation powers and combined them with Maxwell Lord's previous passion project, a weapon called a dceu. So now Emma can cause any user to hallucinate. Her dad even makes fun of her for this, calling her a child, some sort of millennial superhero joke, I guess, I don't know. I mean, she almost blasted off a nuke in Arizona, so you better watch your mouth, Maxwell. Number 9, Sinmar Utopica. First appearing in Superman issue 25 just last year in Mythological Part 1, the Sinmar are an alien species who witnessed the destruction of Krypton. In fact, they saw young Kal-El zipping through space, and they discussed the possibility of intercepting. They're like, who is this kid? Where is he heading? Earth? What's on Earth? There's nothing there. Yeah, apparently we're too primitive to be part of their defense registrar, which is neat. I didn't know this was a roast. Awesome. So cut 2 years later, Clark has grown up. Now the Sinmar, still watching from the cosmic bushes, they decide, you know what, they need to elect their own leader to go toe-to-toe with Superman if need be. Enter Eisno Alcor, a soldier for the Sinmar. He showed promise, so they chose him to be their weapon against the Kryptonian. That was their original intention for the young soldier. But Superman was deemed a hero on Earth, so the Sinmar thought, maybe we should just chill out. He's clearly doing a good job. We'll keep an eye on him though still, but for sure he's not a threat. So they decided, let's just send Eisno out to do other stuff regardless. Deal, sounds good. Eventually Eisno got back from a mission and there was this big celebration, a big party, but he finally asked his superior why he's the only hero on his home world. And President Dreddy finally explained that he was initially picked to fight Superman, but he turned out to be a protector, so we just used him instead for other missions in the galaxy. So Eisno is feeling confused. He's like, Superman, who is this guy? What? So he leaves the party, he's deep in thought, then all of a sudden, while he's busy being sad in a cornfield, all of his friends and crew are attacked back at the party. So he gets back, everybody's toast, and there's pics of Superman all around. So now he has a reason to attack Superman. You gotta love those super misunderstandings. Always a good one. Before we continue on with this list, you know the drill. If you want to go ahead and hit that like button, it helps us out quite a bit here at the studio, and then in turn, we can bring some nerdy news back into your eyes and soul. So hit that like button, and then we can bring you some good stuff. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the list. Number 8, Punchline. Alexis Kay entered DC Comics only a year ago, right after Harley Quinn finally left the Joker. In Harley's animated series, we see them part ways in the first episode. Birds of Prey as well, we get to focus on Harley's life post-Joker. It's been a long time coming, and fans are here for it. That's great, but now we also have an opening for Joker's sidekick. Okay, enter Alexis Kay. She made her comic debut in Batman Volume 3, issue 89. Originally a student at Snyder College, Alexa met the Joker for the first time on a field trip to a TV studio. It was pretty intense. Alexis was forced by the Joker to read a message to the citizens of Gotham. I mean, luckily Batman came in to save the day, but as far as field trips go, that's a lot of trauma to take home. Right? Alexis actually started a podcast after, not to, cope and talk and deal with the situation, but rather she believed the Joker was onto something. She was on board with all of his devious plans. She was diving in deep with all of his past crimes, and eventually she made her own outfit and started to poison the people of Gotham. So many of my friends listen to crime podcasts. I'm gonna start asking some questions.
Number 7. The 53rd World. The 53rd World, named by the smart primates who live there, was a world unknown to the rest of the multiverse. It's set in a near future where presumably the world is inhabited by super smart apes, like Planet of the Apes style. Oh, and also, immortality was achieved in 2067, meaning that yes, all these ultra smart apes are immortal. We know that there exists alternate ape versions of Superman, Batman, the Atom, and Aquaman. The existence of this Earth was first revealed in 2018's Dark Knight's Rising: The Wild Hunt, when Detective Chimp was beginning to lose his intelligence. The ape heroes show up, recruited by Raven, Cyborg, and the Flash to help with the dark multiverse, saying they were here to help. obviously. Detective Chip, accompanied by the apes of the 53rd Earth, plus Flash, Cyborg, and Raven, go to help Earth Zero's Justice League fight the Dark Multiverse forces. That's kind of all we know about the 53rd Earth. I want more super apes! Number 6. Archive of Worlds. The Archive of Worlds isn't so much an alternate Earth, it's actually an artificial multiverse which contains pocket dimensions in the form of film reels. Now that's just kinda nuts on its own, but then take into account the fact that it was created by a mad god, Artur Io, who is the god of tales, who is jealous of the new god of tales, which is the internet. It's pretty nuts. He tried to steal the new god's soul and was instead encased in a Wayne Tech satellite where he created the Archive of Worlds. First appearing in Batman/Superman Volume 2, number 16 in 2021, the pocket dimensions include a world where Superman never came to be, as well as one where Batman never came to be, a world based on hell, a western world, a world based on the life of Alana Strange, and so many other unnamed worlds. Auteur.io eventually was cured by Batman, and he instead became Observer.io, which is a lot nicer. Number 5. The Linear Verse. The Linear Verse is an alternate reality where the people age so slowly that it's almost safe to say they don't age at all. Batman began his career in 1939, with his youth lasting for decades instead of the normal aging of a human. In a way, this kind of represents how comic book characters seemingly never age and grow old, except in certain stories. By the late 20th century, the world had most of its superheroes. After this point though, things get a little whack. See, Earth became a dystopia ruled by the wealthy, which, I don't know, it seems a bit too real for me. And a great disaster was foreseen that actually came to pass. And the world became very similar to the one in the Earth AD story. Anthropomorphized animals had become the rulers of the planet, with humans devolving, save for Kamandi and a few others. Then, in the 25th century, humanity seemingly built a high-tech society, which saw the rise of Michael Carter, who is Booster Gold. In the 31st century, Earth became the base of the Legion of Superheroes, who were an interplanetary superhero team. This world is just a wild ride. Oh, and it first appeared in Generations Forged number 1 in April of 2021. Number 4. The Metalverse. Okay, I know we're going to talk about the Dark Multiverse, but we haven't talked about, and we need to talk about, the Metalverse. So basically, after Perpetua defeated the Justice League, she gave Prime Earth to the Batman Who Laughs. He and his Dark Knights defeated all the heroes and then reshaped the Earth into his vision. Look at this super cool map! He turned Gotham City into a whole continent super city that is guarded by Joker dragons. He made his home Castle Bat, which is another version of Batman who became a sentient Gotham. There is a hell on Earth called the Hellscape, ruled by Wonder Woman. Arkham Wasteland, ruled over by Harley Quinn. A Superman-powered new Apocalypse prison where all the remaining heroes are held. Megapocalypse with a Rainbow Valley where all the lantern rings lay because no one is worthy that exists anymore. This version of Earth Prime isn't exactly an alternate universe, but it definitely sounds like it should be. Hey nerds! Just wanted to say thanks for watching. It means a lot to us. If y'all don't mind smacking that like button, it would help us out. And it helps YouTube know we don't suck. Okay, on to the top 3. Number 3. Green Lantern Legacy. Green Lantern Legacy is a one-shot comic from 2020, in which we are given an alternate Earth where the Green Lanterns of Earth were John Stewart, who we already know, and a Vietnamese woman named Kim Tran. Now, Kim Tran, like most of the Green Lanterns, was an awesome hero who never let evil escape her sight, in brightest day or blackest night. She was a pillar for her community too, helping people from all walks of life. And she even helped other Vietnamese immigrants feel at home in this new city. The comic, though, really follows Tai Pham, who is Kim Tran's grandson, as he takes up the mantle of Green Lantern from his grandmother, becoming one of the youngest Green Lanterns at 12 years old. We see him struggle with racism, bullies, his own fears, and against the Yellow Lantern. It's a great story, and it gives some well-needed Vietnamese representation to the DC landscape. Give it a read! Number 2. Deceased. You know how Marvel has the Marvel Zombie storyline? Well, this is basically DC Zombies. That's a bit of an unfair comparison though. The two stories are very different, with the DC version ultimately being slightly more grounded and emotional. In this reality, Cyborg has been captured by Darkseid on Apocalypse, and it's revealed that the anti-life equation lives inside him. When Darkseid tries to take the equation, it is instead corrupted, causing Darkseid to explode Apocalypse. But not before Cyborg was sent to Earth. Once he arrives, he inadvertently infects the entire world with the anti-life equation, which has taken the form of a techno-organic virus. This turns millions of people and a lot of metahumans into zombies. The story follows the survivors as they try to quell the threat and eventually leave the Earth to settle a new home. I kind of prefer this to the Marvel Zombies story. I don't know. It's a survival story instead of a funny zombie story. I like it. Sue me. Please don't sue me. Number 1. Dark Multiverse. First appearing in Dark Knight's Metal #1 in 2017, the Dark Multiverse is basically the shadow version of the regular DC universe that resides underneath the primary one. So there are negative versions of the 52 Earths of the regular multiverse, but it was also originally the World Forge, meaning it has so many more worlds. For example, there are worlds born from sentient life's hopes and fears. Honestly, each world here could take up a point on this list, but it feels like that's cheating a little. The World Forger was the master of this domain and created the Great Dragon, Barbados, to destroy unstable realities that couldn't join the Orrery of Worlds. Barbados, manipulated by Perpetua, rebelled and defeated the World Forger, creating the Dark Multiverse. A lot more happens after that, but I can't cover that in a 1-minute segment, so Dark Knight's Metal is an amazing story and it deserves your reading. Number 10, the Wonder Twins. Look, they aren't really Justice League members, but they were interns, which is like part of the way there, right? Maybe. If you watched that video about weird DC multiverse characters, then you know these two. The Wonder Twins are 2 alien siblings from the planet Exor who possess some interesting shape-changing powers. The sister Jaina has the ability to transform into any animal, which is a potentially very useful and powerful ability, and it's always pretty fun. The brother, on the other hand, Zan, is capable of turning into water in any of its states, so liquid, steam, or ice. Again, potentially pretty cool, but more often it's not though. And honestly, he always seems to play second fiddle to his sister anyways. The two were first introduced in Super Friends, where they were much more cheesy and did a whole lot of fist bumping. They still do, but it's sweet now. Number 9, Hawk Girl, a classic. After assisting in the defeat of Barbados and the Dark Knights, Kendra Saunders' Hawk Girl was recruited to join the new Justice League as Hawk Girl, a core member of the team. Nice. While not a totally new character, she did have a fight with Barbados, and that gave her this new nth metal fusion power. This gives her nth metal psycho-reactive wings that look totally awesome. They can slice through flesh and are able to completely heal all by themselves. She has been reincarnated so many times and has so much experience that she makes an extremely effective and powerful member of the Justice League. As well as her cool new wings, Kendra also has several powers including enhanced strength, enhanced durability, enhanced vision, accelerated healing, self-sustenance, and has been taught telepathic resistance by Martian Manhunter. Unfortunately, she was one of those members of the League affected by the death of the Justice League thing. But that leads us directly into the next 5 points, so that's good. Number 8, Jace Fox's Batman. Okay, yes, I'm structuring this a little differently. So after the death of the Justice League, 5 legacy characters have been teased to be stepping up into the mantles of their predecessors. Timothy Jace Fox seems to be the one stepping into the role of Batman. First appearing in Dark Knight's Death Metal #7 last year, he actually took on the role of Batman after Gotham became a police state ruled by the Magistrate, who hunted down masked characters, and Batman seemingly met his demise. That's Bruce Wayne Batman. Jace wears a batsuit very similar to the classic, only with a full face covering. In the art for the new Dark Crisis coming out next month, he seems to just have a regular cowl though. He has created a new bat symbol and has teamed up with Jason Todd Nightwing. He also hums to himself while fighting criminals, which is kinda cute, honestly.
Number 7, Tommy Max. First appearing in Red Hood Outlaw issue 51 titled Minutes from Downtown Gotham, Tommy is a Batman rogue that doubles as a sneakerhead. That's right, fashion never felt so badass before. Thomas Measle makes his fortune selling shoe lines based off popular DC villains. His Poison Ivy line was just dazzling the ladies, of course, and no, he didn't make Killer Crocs either. I already checked, I thought of that too. He did, however, use Killer Croc as his own personal bodyguard after freeing him from jail. I think I'm a fan of Tommy because I too worked at a shoe store years back. I'm not nearly as cool as him though. I'm like, oh, 11.5? You got it, man. Be right back. Number 6, Frost King. Edwald Olafsson first entered comics in Justice League Endless Winter Chapter 1. He's a newer character, and as you could probably guess, he is a giant Frost Beast. I'm trying really hard not to say Frost Giant, clearly. His story begins thousands of years earlier back in the day when he fought with Black Adam, Viking Prince, and Swamp Thing. But he ended up getting buried for 1,000 years in the same glacier that later on became the Fortress of Solitude. Poor guy was just stuck on the walls while everybody was watching Game of Thrones. He's probably so bored. Eventually the fortress was destroyed and the Frost King was released, this time with a hint of Kryptonian energy, which is always fun. Number 5, the designer. So we mentioned that sneakerhead of Gotham, so it's only fair to bring up this class act next. Appearing for the first time in Batman Volume 3, Issue 89 in April 2020, the designer was this masked criminal who at the age of 60 had earned himself legendary status for being able to plan and execute so many master plans. He was killing it. He also created this chemical that allowed him to use corpses to move around and carry out said master plans. He's got zombie backup, that's cool, I guess. Early on in Batman's career, the designer would watch Batman take down all these rogues, so he approached them. He talked to them all. He talked to Catwoman, the Joker, Penguin, and the Riddler. They all met at his hideout just outside of Gotham City, and he offered them way better plans. And when it came down to the Joker's desires, well, the Joker wanted his job. He wanted to take his place. So the designer ordered that undead army to attack, but Joker shot him and supposedly ended his life. Now cut to Batman Volume 3, Issue 85, the designer returns, only Batman finds out that it's just, you guessed it, a corpse being controlled by the Joker. Everyone's using corpses to fight battles, it's gross. Imagine the smell. Number 4, Sideways. Derek James, aka Sideways, came into comics back in his own series in 2018. He was in Gotham with his adoptive mother Helen when Challenger's Mountain returned from the dark multiverse. So the following earthquake split the two up, leaving Derek to fall into the ground, right into a rift into the multiverse. 4 days passed and then Derek was finally able to return, but the question was, how? Derek obtained the ability to teleport through dimensions. He does so by creating tears in space-time. He can literally open the door to a new universe. After a month of having this power, his friend Ernestine made him a costume, cause, you know, of course. And in his first live stream as the hero Sideways, he took on the Tempest Fugonaut, who was upset because Derek was toying with space-time, which, I mean, it's more than fair. Number 3, The Signal. Duke Thomas entered DC Comics not too recently, but back in 2013 in Batman Volume 2, Issue 21. He lost his parents at a young age, similar to Batman, but he lost his to the Joker. So he joined and then led the We Are Robin movement. That's when hundreds of teens took on the Robin mantle, sporting the capital R, and took to the streets while Batman was absent. Nice movement, awesome. Now Duke left this movement because he was eventually recruited to train under Batman himself and joined the fam. Not a bad upgrade. Now Duke, aka The Signal, is a member of the newly reformed Outsider teams being led by Black Lightning. His father was the villain Nomon, but before his birth, his mother Elaine ran for it to Gotham in order to get away from Nomon. She became a social worker and then married a man named Doug Thomas, who wasn't a supervillain. Nice. They both raised Duke in Gotham Narrows. Later on when the Riddler was challenging the city, he asked all these citizens to bring forth a riddle that even he can't solve, and then only then will he turn the power back on in the city. So Duke was ready for this. He was smart, he was ready to go, but Batman respected that, but he also ended up just taking on the Riddler himself. Since 0 Year, Duke goes by the alias Lark simply because he doesn't want Batman to repeat the past failures with the Robin mantle. It's almost cursed, I don't blame him. He also fights crime during the day, which, yeah, crime happens during the day too. This guy's great, we definitely need him on the streets. Number 2, the Talon. William Cobb made his debut back in 2011 in Batman Volume 2, Issue 2. The Talon is an assassin for the Court of Owls who claims to have killed several Wayne family members, including Bruce Wayne's great-great-grandfather, Alan Wayne. The Court of Owls just may be the villains of the new Batman movie, so let's refresh our memory here. William Cobb began his early days juggling baseballs on the street just to get by, and after his father had passed away tragically while building a bridge for Cameron Kane, he would resort to these tricks to earn some money on the side and then sneak into his mother's purse as well. What a gem. But then one day somebody was watching his act and then he got pickpocketed, so William Cobb hucked one of his baseballs at him, saving the day, and the man offered him a job afterwards at a circus as a thank you. What a weird interaction. He started using knives instead of baseballs to, you know, amp up the act, and eventually he met his love Amelia, back when he returned to Gotham, now a celebrity. Amelia's father didn't like the two of them in love, so he told William to get out of there, he told him to beat it, and Amelia at this time was also pregos. Yeah, so Cobb joined the Court of Owls, became one of the Talons, and then went back to Amelia's house to kidnap his son, and his son ended up becoming the Gray Son of Gotham, John Grayson's father. Whew, a lot of history. Thank you for listening. Boom. And finally, number 1, Astrid Arkham. Making her first appearance with Detective Comics issue 1000, Astrid Arkham, like her name hints, was born in Arkham Asylum. Both of her parents were doctors working there at the time, and her mother, Ingrid, was loved in the asylum, even by the Joker. She's like the cool cafeteria lady. Everyone loves her, you know? Her father, Jeremiah Arkham, was a descendant of Arkham Asylum's founder, Amadeus Arkham, so they were kind of a big deal there. When Ingrid was pregnant with Astrid, the timing couldn't have been worse, however, as a riot began in the prison. It was nice to see because at this point, all these supervillains were protecting Ingrid while she went into labor. I'm talking Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, the Joker, Solomon Grundy, Clayface, they were all keeping her safe. After she gave birth, a rogue Batarang slipped by, and that was sadly the last we saw of Ingrid. Now her father had to raise the child alone, meaning she had to be homeschooled in the asylum, meaning her only friends were inmates. But they felt like they owed her mother the kindness at least, so it wasn't a scary thing. She grew up hating Batman, of course, but that hatred grew even more once Astrid found footage of that fateful birthday. After that, she became a skilled fighter, started a cult called the Knights of the Sun, and went after the one who threw said cursed Batarang. Eventually, she called herself the Arkham Knight.